All right, let's dive into a story that is all about perseverance. We're talking about a 5-year journey that ends with a title no one in Irish history had ever achieved. This is the incredible story of Trisha Kanyamarala.
You know, when you think of a chess master, you probably picture some kind of born genius, right? Someone who loved the game from day one. Well, Trisha herself says, "That wasn't me." This quote just flips the whole script. It's not one of those love-at-first-sight stories with the chessboard. Nope, it's way more relatable than that.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How does someone who thinks chess is, well, boring, end up becoming a grandmaster? To figure that out, we've got to rewind a bit, all the way back to her childhood.
Okay, so check this out. When she was 9, she loved playing drafts, checkers with her brother. It was fast, it was fun, but chess, to her it was just slow, confusing, and totally boring. Doesn't exactly scream future champion, does it?
But here's the kicker. That same slow, boring game, that's the one that led her to make Irish history. It's just wild. Somewhere along the line, something clicked. She saw past the slow moves and found this incredible, deep puzzle hiding underneath. Talk about a transformation, from a bored 9-year-old to a national hero.
So what did it actually take? I mean, becoming a woman grandmaster isn't just about being good at chess. It's a whole other level. You have to get these very specific, world-class results when the pressure's on. Let's break down what that climb to the top really looks like.
Yeah, so what does it take? Because this title isn't something they just hand out. You have to earn it. And the process is, well, it's grueling. It's super precise. All set by the International Chess Federation.
Basically, it boils down to 2 things. First, you need to get your international rating up to 2,300. That's a really high number that puts you in a pretty elite club. And second, you have to prove you belong there by getting 3 what they call norms, which are basically just world-class performances in major tournaments. So the journey for her really kicked off back in 2020. She was only 14 and she gets her first norm in Dublin. And the crazy part? She said she was playing with 0 pressure, just having fun. And suddenly this huge, far-off dream of becoming a grandmaster, it felt real. It felt like something she could actually do.
But then, nothing. For 4 years. Think about that, a 4-year gap until she got her second norm. Life just happened. The pandemic shut everything down, and then she had her leaving cert, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is a massive deal in Ireland. So chess kind of had to take a back seat for a while. But she got through it all. And in 2024, in Norway, bam, she gets that second norm. Her rating was high enough, the finish line was right there, she was so close, just 1 more norm to go. And this is where the story gets really tough. You'd think, with the goal so close, she'd just have this final burst of energy, right? But it was the exact opposite. The pressure just became crushing, and it led to the absolute hardest part of her career. Just listen to what she said about it. The more she chased that final norm, the further away it felt. All that focus on the result was completely backfiring. Every single tournament felt like this do-or-die test, and that desperation, it was actually making it impossible to win. She says it herself, she hit rock bottom.
And here's what rock bottom looks like on a chart for a chess player. Her rating, which is the number that shows how good you are, just started to tank. It just kept falling and falling. So instead of getting closer, she was actually getting worse. It was just one demoralizing loss after another.
You can only imagine what was going through her head. She was mentally, physically, emotionally just burnt out. And she started asking those really hard questions, the ones you never want to ask yourself. Should I just quit? Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Is all this suffering even worth it? But here's the thing. She didn't quit. After hitting that absolute lowest point, somehow she found the strength to fight back. And that led to the breakthrough she'd been chasing for 5 long years. And then it happened, in London at the Chess Classic. She did it. She got that final norm. Can you just imagine the relief? After all that doubt, all that struggle, it was over. She was finally and officially a woman grandmaster.
So when you look at it on a timeline like this, it really puts the whole thing in perspective. You see that first norm in 2020, then that massive 4-year gap, and then that brutal final year of struggle before London. Yeah, this was not a straight shot to the top. Not at all.
So you have to ask, right? What keeps someone going through a slump like that? Well, this quote kind of says it all. She says, losing a game hurts, a lot. But that feeling of winning, it's a joy she just can't find anywhere else. And that feeling, That was worth fighting for. So, what are the big lessons here? What did she learn from all that struggle? Well, the number one thing was getting back to focusing on the process, not the result. She had to let go of obsessing over the title and just play good chess, one move at a time. It taught her to be consistent, and maybe most importantly, to never, ever lose faith in herself even when everything looks hopeless. And for her, this huge historic win, it's not the end of the story, not even close. She sees it as a milestone. It's just the start of a whole new beginning, with new goals and new mountains to climb.
So let's leave it with this thought. Yeah, this is a story about chess, but it's really about something we all go through. She hit her absolute lowest point right before her biggest triumph. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we let that fear of failure, that feeling of rock bottom, stop us right before we're about to have our own breakthrough?